Also, if you're my friend, you know that how much I care about him. So why are you doing that? It was just very weird. Like I said, we never saw any before. After that, Black women friendships and sitcoms. First, I'm going to go with Khadijah and Max. Khadijah and Max were so funny to me. And although, you know, they met in college, Khadijah and Regina met, you know, as childhood friends, I guess in the neighborhood or whatever. But Khadijah and Max just seemed so much closer. And they weren't, you know, even roommates. I don't know how they actually like met. I know they met at college. I know they weren't roommates, but they were just so funny together. They were just a funny duo. They were very honest with each other, and like neither one of them took offense to anything really. And they got into it a few times, you know, when Khadijah needed money and Max was a lawyer, so she had money. You know, Khadijah was trying to build her magazine business, so she lent her money, but Khadijah couldn't take it because she didn't like asking people for stuff. So Max got mad at that. Like, okay, you don't want to take people for the deal, give my money then. Says you want to do all this extra stuff. And she ended up giving Max like a percentage of Flavor magazine, and then that was all good. So she never had to pay her back. She just gave her a part of her business. Max was like, oh, you gave me a part of your business. And then the time Max, when she was running for, what was she running for? City Alderman, Shaw, I don't know. When she was running for something in New York, and you know, Khadijah was interviewing her for the magazine, and she was just giving simple answers. She was like, wham, bam, bam, you know. Now, that's what Khadijah said at the end, but she was like, how do you feel about crime? Not on my street. She would just say little catchphrases, and Khadijah like, do you want to say something meaningful? She was like, no, people love catchphrases, which is actually true, and you could see current day what's going on and what people like or say that they like anyway. So that was funny. So she got mad at her for not really supporting her because Khadijah didn't think she was taking it serious. But then at the end, Sinclair was like, well, she did vote for you, you know, to win. She's like, oh, you still voted for me to win? And she had dropped out the race, I think, too, and then still ended up winning. People still end up voting for her, but those are two I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, you know what? A couple times it was funny between them two when Regina was planning heavy D wedding to Biblical Fox. You know, that whole thing happened with them. She was really using him, and she was cheating with his best man or something. And then he ended up at the end about to date her bridesmaid, so that was the whole thing. But them two made me want to shout, throw your hands up. Khadijah was playing on the piano, Max was dancing. That was hilarious. That's one of my favorite scenes. And then when Ron from Different World was dating Regina, but Regina was treating him like a doormat, and then Max and Khadijah wrote a letter sending him to break up with him. They wrote it as Regina, if I call you, hang up or something, be strong or something. So they had broke them up, and then Ron started hitting on Max after, because Khadijah was like, yeah, she did it because she was in love with you. Max was like, girl, please, no, boy, please. And then he was like, he gonna make pot roast or something. And then Khadijah at the end was like, so we ain't gonna have me up for pot roast. That was fun. Like, their connection was really good. I don't want to talk too long about it because I got other people to talk about, but even Janie from Eve show, a lot of people don't talk about Eve, although I love Eve, and it lasted a decent amount, I guess. I think it just got canceled not because it ratings, just because, you know, a lot of times when networks shift to something else, like another name or someone else buys them, then, you know, your show is over, which is horrible. Like, if something is working, just keep it going by it. You have to scratch everything, and that's don't make logical sense to me. But anywho, they were friends, I guess, I don't know, maybe since school, but I don't know, I can't remember if it was elementary or middle school, whatever, but they were friends for a really long time. And then the fact that they started a business together and was able to maintain their friendship, because, you know, usually when you go into business with your friend, it's horrible. Into the fact that they had the same interests, like that they both were good designers and could make, you know, dresses and all this. Like the fact that they both did the same thing, and they, like I said, they went into business together. Then, you know, they brought the other girl on later because they needed her funding because she used to be like a popular model. They got into it a couple of times when Janie got mad at her husband because she thought that he wanted Eve because he was describing to his friend Eve and how he was describing it was like, yeah, child, I can't remember what exactly he said. I don't know if he said it, but it was to the effect of, yeah, she fine and this and that, and then child, I don't think he said if I was single or whatever, but he was just hyping her up pretty much, but that they all were friends, and he was hyping up to the other dude to get him to match them up. You want him like, no, she's horrible. She's this, that. They didn't do. They ain't gonna want to mess with her. But so Janie got mad at that and thought they was having some little affair thing. Remember, she slapped Eve, and Eve didn't even hit her back. She just okay. And then at the end, Janie's like, well, if you want to slap me back, Eve slapped her before she even got the words out, and then they was eating. But I'm like that, and she was happy about it too. But I'm like, and Janie knew she was just being overly dramatic. Like she apologized, but she knew she was being overly dramatic. Like Eve wouldn't do that to her. And then the other time I think that they got into it was, I feel like a lottery ticket. I don't know if Eve gave her $1. Did she end up winning with the lottery ticket? Janie ended up winning with the lottery ticket, but she didn't want to share the money. She was like, here, I'll give you $1 back. I think this is it. Don't quote me exactly. But then it was like storming and all this other stuff. And Janie was trying to go out to get something. I don't know if it was a weed. I don't know what it was, but it was a electric shock. And then she was like, Eve had to help her or whatever. And then they realized what they was arguing about wasn't that important because Janie's life was on the line. But yeah, that was pretty close. Like I said, they were pretty honest too with each other. The good friendship that you talk about, they really be honest with each other and they don't be sensitive. Like they can tell each other off and be like, girl, okay, we'll be good the next day. Girl, you doing too much? Okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow, whatever. But like I said, the fact that they worked together and like been friends for so long and that they were able to maintain it wasn't that many fights. It was mostly them having each other back for the most part. Was pretty good. Joan and Lynn, like with a ensemble class, like Living Single was more than them, but I thought Khadijah and Max were the closest, although Khadijah grew up with Regina and obviously Sinclair was her cousin, but Max and Khadijah connection felt like undeniable. And I know I'm with back to Living Single right quick because I'm about to talk about girlfriends and they were like similar ensemble cast shows about a group of friends. Khadijah was the branch for everybody and Joan was the branch for everybody that brought everybody together. She had her own individual relation with them, then brought them together. But I know that Kim said, there's so many Kim Fields, Kim Whitley, there's so many Kims. Sinclair, Sinclair, the actor, said that, I guess her and Khadijah was supposed to be like the Queen Latifah was supposed to be like the co-leads, but it never felt like that to me. It always felt like Khadijah was the main one, then Max was the second one. I don't know why it felt like that. I don't know if I'm the one that it felt like that with, but it was supposed to be them two as the leads, but it always felt like Khadijah and then Max. And the creator had to fight for Max to even be involved. And I'm like, she was the best part of the show, really. So that's weird to me. I get why she wouldn't say it because she was a lawyer. You would think she would stay by herself, but then she would be always over there eating up their food. Although she could afford her own food, which was just so funny because she made the most money out of all of them. But that was just funny. But anyhow, let's go back to girlfriends. Joan and Lynn. I chose Joan and Lynn because obviously Joan and Tony was an absolute no because they were toxic, and then everybody else, like Lynn and Maya was friends, and Lynn and Tony was friends, but even sometimes Lynn feel like, dang, is you just friends with me because of Joan? Joan and Lynn, it almost felt like big sister, little sister. Joan would act like Lynn, big sister, like she did always have her back. Now the weird thing, well, Lynn didn't care because Lynn was like a free spirit or whatever. And I don't know why always the free spirits have to be like, they always paint them as sleeping with people. I think it might just be a free spirit and not sleep with people. Even like with Max, she dated, she was free too in that way, like sexually free. And then Lynn was sexually free, but I'm like, because the people with those personality types, they always think that you have to paint them that way, but I don't necessarily agree with that. It's fine for them, but I'm saying like every time you see that type of character or a personality type, that's what they paint them as. I think we can see something different. But like I said, Joan and Lynn, did they ever really get into it? Like it was times that Joan wouldn't fool with Lynn because Lynn, she just wanted Lynn to get it together, but Lynn would get together. Although she had multiple degrees that her parents was going in debt for paying for her, but she was just, until she found music, she was just floating in the air child. But it's like Lynn always stayed with Joan. Joan always paid for everything. Like Joan, because Joan was a lawyer. Another blueprint for Living Single Max. But Joan was a lawyer, didn't even like Sisters. I don't watch it more. I tried to watch, but it just, Tyler Perry shows, they don't just be the best. Joan and Lynn, like I said, the only thing between them was the William thing. You know, Lynn at like the beginning of the early on, and girlfriends, maybe like even the first season, like she you know, had her and William was sleeping together, friends and benefits, whatever. And then that had stopped. And then later on, in whatever season 5, whatever, I don't know what seasons it was, but then William and Joan started to date, which they shouldn't have dated. They were so good as friends. As people need to stop thinking because you are the opposite sex and y'all get along so well, that don't mean it's going to translate into a relationship. Like, they had no chemistry as far as romantic chemistry. They had friendship chemistry and they was in sync and got along, but they had no romantic chemistry. I wish they would have never did that. I don't know why they did that. Like, that was like one of our only, besides like Veronica Mars, that's not a black show, Veronica Mars and Wallace, they were actually a show I can name, but they never even hinted at them being together. Like even Half and Half, they had a thing where if I can end it, I don't know. I gotta watch Half and Half again. I watch it still, but I gotta watch key moments. Like, I can't remember what the last episode was, but I feel like in my memory that they wanted to maybe explore something. I know they went back and forth a lot throughout the seasons about, should we be there? Now we're gonna be there, or do we like each other? Do down? They did, but that's what I'm saying. It's like with the friend thing, they always, even Brown Sugar, the whole point of Brown Sugar was them to be together, but it was like the movie, but it's like you always, sometimes yes it can happen, but sometimes it can't just be as friends. Like I said, Veronica Mars on this, I'm not saying this is the only one, this is the only one I can think of off the top of my head that actually showed them as friends and never hinted at anything, because they never hinted even remotely any weirdness ever. So I didn't think they should be together, but you know, typically if your friend see with somebody, you wouldn't go on to date them. Although Lynn didn't care. Lynn really didn't. Because she didn't like William. She was just anyone, but she didn't care. But so I don't know if Joan when it did, if she probably still would have, but I don't know. But other than that little thing that was weird, they pretty much was good. Like I said, Joan went the best for Lynn. Then so I thought when it came down to it towards the end, when Joan was trying to find herself, she did get mad at Lynn that time because Lynn didn't send off her paperwork because she wanted to be a designer. I don't know why they had her on that restaurant when she didn't want to do that either. She just went from being a lawyer, which she didn't want to really do, to being a restaurant owner, which was, why did she want, that was like, why did she want to do that for? The main thing Joan liked to do was throw parties and events. So that's the route she should have went, because she got mad at Lynn that time because Lynn didn't send a paperwork. And she's like, you altered my life. It's like, I'm a lawyer, but I could have been an event planner or whatever. So why she didn't go on to try to do that? You don't need a degree to do that. Why she didn't go on to do that? Then she had all them lawyer clients. Maybe she could have pulled from that. And even William, she could have started with him and then passed her card around. Like, I don't know why they went that route, because she just went for one, because maybe they wanted her to struggle, you know, because she was the one that had it together all this time. So maybe they wanted her to struggle. And be kind of like lost in life like Lynn was. And then once Lynn got it together with music, then Joan was struggling. I guess that's why, but like, she should have been a vampire. Anywho, okay, I'm probably not going to talk too much about these two, but Brianna and Spirit, I need to watch one of them more. I've been watching them more lately because, you know, I haven't watched it like a minute, but their biggest mistake when they went to college, it then didn't bring Spirit along. Like, they adding all these different people in. It was a white blonde girl, an Asian lady, and a white man, and Ray J. It was like, what is happening? Like, they didn't want it to last, because it's like, what is going on? Like, they're like two completely different shows. Like, usually when someone goes off to college, like even it's like sister, how they want to keep it together, they have the people end up staying at home or something, so you can still see, you know, the parents, Lisa and Ray and all that. But they actually lived on campus. And even Moesha at first, before she got into it with Frank, she was going, you know, home. She was living at home until, you know, this thing happened with her and her dad. Then she got a dorm. But usually that's the blueprint for the shows. Like, you have the stay at home so you can still see the people, like her, see her dad, see her dad as much, and then his friend, they was good friends, but it's not about me and friendship, but he was funny too. But it's like, they messed up with that. They were I don't know who did that, who thought of that. I don't know if that was during the switch, somebody bought the network. I don't know what that was, but that was weird to me. I don't know why they did that. And then that was the beginning of the end. You knew that was about to be over. Like, that was weird to me. I don't know why they did that. Like with the Parkers, which I'm gonna talk about maybe, but both the Parkers, you know, Kim and Nikki went to have their own spinoff. And then we saw Moesha and Niecy here and there, but they, you know, they could have still, since they were a spinoff, you didn't want to involve them too much because it wasn't supposed to be Moesha. So you saw them here and there on her birthday, Halloween, and just here and there you saw them. Even Hakeem, you saw them here and there in like a couple of episodes, but because you don't want to involve them too much, like I said, because it would feel like Moesha, not the Parkers. But because they stayed, although they went to different schools, it was all in the same place, so they still could all been hanging out frequently. So that's neither here nor there. But I don't know why I brought that up. I can't remember what I was talking about before that. But Brianna and Spirit, I don't know if I have much to say because all the shows I probably have watched out the least, although I used to watch it. I'm trying to watch it more now, but so I'm not gonna be able to think of a conflict or anything that they had, although I'm sure that they had one. I really think, but for the most part, you know, we like Brianna and Spirit, like in Spirit, you know, Spirit was just like Kim, and with the fashions, like that was what she wanted to do. Maybe Arnaz was doing music like Lynn. I don't know if the music was all that great. Lynn music was all that great either. But at the time, I keep going back to other shows, but at the time, Juicidor was up there, and she tried to be in that group. And it was a younger, you know, they were younger than her. And she was like, banana split. That makes me laugh. So, and she was robot and all this episode. That was hilarious to me. But anywho, they just made me think because her music wasn't good. And Arnett's music wasn't good. They just made me think about that, which is hilarious. Regina and Lvita. See, this is a dynamic, like Joan and Maya, they worked together, but then they were friends. I don't know how you wouldn't think that should actually work. Like, you really shouldn't be friend I don't want to say you shouldn't, but that's what stuff get muddy. It's like, because Maya worked for Joan, but Joan and her were friends. Just, those dynamics is weird. It's different if you bring on your friend. Maybe that's a little different. That's probably hard too, but to hire somebody and befriend them in that way and bring them in your circle is just like, it seems like it can be getting a little messy and sticky. But this how, you know, Regina and Lvita, she was her secretary, or I don't think that was assistant secretary because she worked at the principal. They were close. I don't think I have much to say, but I just put them on the list because I was thinking about friends. But they didn't, although they had to show them as friends because, you know, Sid and Steve, you know, Cedric and Lvita was together, then Steve wanted to be with Miss Piggy. That's so funny. Miss Piggy. So, you know, I don't know. I also haven't seen Steve Harvey show in a while. So, out of all these shows, I said one-on-one, but no, this one looked the least. So I can't really think about too much. Like, they were friends, but I don't know if these were just like these standout moments. So I don't even know why I put them on the list. We was talking about, you know, Kim or whatever, Moesha and Niecy. Well, Moesha and Niecy, you know, obviously they were friends. They were a trio, but you know, like I said, Kim got her own spinoff, so she and them on to community college, and she wasn't the brightest. Moesha and Niecy, I thought they were close for the most part. They always had each other back. Well, the biggest thing that happened was Niecy was upset about something. I can't remember what it was. And Hakeem was maybe also upset about something. And then, you know, kissing. Although they didn't even like each other. So that was just pointless. I don't know why they did. Moesha saw that, but then stopped talking to both of them. Then went on board with Q. It was such a whole freaking mess. I don't understand why they did that. I'm like, why did they do that? I know maybe they want to have some conflict, you know, because she had never really had conflict like that with Niecy besides the time that all of them were talking about each other at, you know, high school era. Maybe I had a little conflict, but then the ones I can remember that time, that it was like Halloween, they were all talking behind each other's back. But when they went to college, I don't really think they had before. Then too, you know, they had planned to move in together the next semester, so that was already like done. So they was in the same house, but then they got into it. Because obviously, you know, Moesha wasn't talking to her. But then she ended up talking to her because she was like, she saw her every day. And then she wanted to vent about her other roommate. So it's like they just end up talking back to each other. Like I said, that was just them kids were just so stupid. I'm like, why did they do that? Even after Niecy did it, she was like, oh my God. Like, they didn't even like each other at all. Not even a little bit. So they were just so stupid. But that was a big conflict. Like I said, throughout their friendship, they didn't really have conflict. So I'm guessing they, you know, wanted to give them conflict. But in reality, when you think of Moesha's character, she wouldn't have forgave both of them. well, I mean, she did end up forgiving her father, but that is her father when the whole stuff happened. Although it was like, I don't know, it was just a lot going on. Like, if they didn't have them stay together, Moesha probably wouldn't have talked to them. But then she also ended up talking to Hakeem back too, so I don't know. But Nancy and Sharice, you know, Sharice was like, they both was real pretty. You know, Sharice, she always wanted somebody rich and like, well, basketball player or something. Child. She was very bougie at that time. They was like acting like he saved Uncle Junior life. Something happened. They was dating, and she's like, "You don't care if I date him, do you?" I don't know. So after that whole thing with Jamie and her happened, where they was like together, not together, like they kind of talked a little bit, whatever. We never saw her again, and I don't know if that was like intentional, that like they're not friends anymore. We never saw her again anymore. They brought in Sharice Shepherd after that. I don't know. Maybe I should listen up. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if that was like, oh, intentional. Okay, because her character did this. Now we don't see her anymore, or something just happened with the actor that we, didn't see anymore. We saw Sharice Shepherd as Fancy's friend. See, I wouldn't even think about Sharice Shepherd. And when I was thinking about friends, I thought about Fancy and Sharice first, and then now that I'm talking, I'm like, oh yeah, Fancy and Sherry was friends after. Her Shepherd wasn't even big back then. Her boobs was just so big. When your boobs so big and look big, but it's like she wasn't big. Her body was actually pretty small. But yeah, ever since Sharice did that thing with Jamie, and I don't know why she did that. Like, currently, thing I seen Jamie, I always had to thank for each other, and she always loved him, and they were always gonna be in goals. So I don't know why she did that. Then like, you don't have a problem with it, dude. Then Fancy and her pride, they want to say yeah, but also if you're my friend, you know that how much I care about him. So why are you doing that? It was just very weird. Like I said, we never saw him anymore after that whole Jamie situation. So like I said, I don't know if that was just a part of like characters. Like, okay, we not seeing her more. Like I said, or something happened, but. Cause like, where do you go from here? Like, we're friends. You see, no, I'm in love with this man. Well, I'm with him or not. And then you kind of talk him slightly. Like, I don't know if they really did anything like that, but it's still like, why are you even entertaining it? Like, it was just weird. Whitley and Kim, I was gonna do maybe Kim and Stevie, but one of them is white. Then Kelly and Tasha, one of them white. So I'll say that for another day. So Whitley and Kim is the final one, and I could do Whitley and Freddie, or Kim and Freddie. But, Kim and Freddie had that thing where she started talking to Ron. Wait, with the new show that's coming out, I know they said that's going to be one of Ron child, but I wonder is it Ron and Freddie child? That would make more sense, right? So I wonder is Ron and Freddie still together. But anywho, I know I read Ron child, but I don't know if it said Ron and Freddie. So I wonder is that both their child, but that's going to be interesting. If it is or isn't. So Whitley and Kim, I don't have much to say about them. They kind of were so different. So like they were roommates. They didn't really get along at first. But once Denise left, they had to make Whitley be likable because she wasn't likable, and like she was just very bougie. I remember they had the white girl in there too. I don't know why she was at HBCU, and even if she was at HBCU, I don't know why she would have been wanting the main characters. Like the first season was really not the best. Like I said, as soon as Denise left is when it picked up. As soon as they got the white girl up and Denise left, it picked up and got better. But I don't know why they initially did that. Well, I know, but it wasn't working. So Whitley and Kim, like I said, they had each other's back for the most part. I can't really think of any super conflict between them. Like I said, Kim and Freddie had the biggest conflict because of Ron, but I can't really think of any major conflict. But they were cool. Like I said, they were friends because I feel like circumstance. Like they just happened to be around each other. You know what I'm saying? And then, Whitley, it ended up evolving, but she had to. Like she had to evolve because if Denise would have stayed there, Whitley wouldn't have evolved. They probably would have kept her being a bougie little snobby girl. But then, she had to evolve because she fell in love with Dwayne, and Kim was a friend. Like she just had to evolve. Out of all the friendships, Pam and Gina, I feel like they were one of the best duos. Like I feel like Pam always held Gina down, Gina always held Pam down. The times they did have conflict, they resolved it and, acknowledged their wrongs and then moved on. And sometimes they had conflict, it was because they was concerned about the other, So their dynamic was always good. Every time I think about a friend in the show, I always think about Pam because I feel like she was like the best or one of the best. Definitely top 3 for sure as far as friends. I think they met working. I think they met at their job because they both was in marketing. I don't think Gina had a higher position than her at the time. Maybe she did, but then I know she eventually did. I don't know if they started that way. So it wasn't like it started like a boss employees started like definitely playing Phil, I believe. So the fact that they was that close, like I don't never really know what Martin and Gina ages were really. Usually, shows say like even living single, they were saying like Cal had a birthday, so they said what his birthday was. But I don't know if Martin we ever knew their ages. Like I said, it had to be obviously way, I don't want to say way after college, but a good amount after college. But I don't know. But anywho, the time when Calvin could not, I was probably they get sued. The fact that he liked her idea was better. So she got a big head because Gina usually ran, the teams, was lead on the marketing. So, but he liked her idea, so he wanted her to be the lead. And then Gina was supposed to, assist Pam. And Pam was getting his shot. Oh, can you give me a coffee or something? She said. Gina was like, Gina was like, she brought me to get coffee like I'm second here. But then she was like, assistant. But then she's like, well, I guess I am right by. And then Gina, remember she dressed up like a man at the end. And because Pam, she had the idea, it was a great idea, but she didn't have the perspectives. Like she didn't have the money and what they was gonna spend, and she was just worrying about the idea and bringing people in, junkie trunks, all this other stuff, having models come in, but she didn't have that. And Gina knew, like she wasn't worried about that because Gina was trying to, okay, but we need to look at that. And she like, I ain't worried about that. So Gina had her back. She didn't have to do this. She could have let her out to dry, but the fact that she came in, it's like her. Then the dude that worked there. They boss was like, this man don't work for you. So yeah, Gina, this man don't work for you. I'm like, do you know Gina? Because remember Gina came in that wig. The fact that he wasn't the boss at first, but then he ended up being the boss because maybe he was trying to get their company to work with him when Gina had that big wig on because she had got stuck in the bed frame or whatever. And she had wore that wig and then it fell off and then he had helped Martin and her get a person to get it off. The fact that he wasn't the boss at first, then they made him the boss. I don't even know how that transition worked, but it was just funny. They did that transition like that. And then G Nutte, the dude that was asking for the money and all that, how it was going to work. He was in another episode. I need to do a video of people that appeared in multiple episodes. That's different people. Because he appeared in an episode when Martin was going to the trying to get his ID. He needs to renew his ID or whatever. And he was cheating off that dude test. Oh my goodness. That was funny. He was trying to cheat off the dude test. And then he there go Michael Jackson or something. He said, I can't remember the person. He said, then he switched the test with the dude. And then he was like, no need to check it because it's all right. And he was like, from move it on up to the east side. The Jeffersons. He was like, no need to check because it's all right. And he was like, no, wrong. And then Martin was like, you should have studied. And he was like, I did study. That was funny. But so yeah, she had on that for that. Then another time Gina got mad at Pam because Pam was gonna marry that rigid dude, but she hadn't known him that long, but they was already gonna get married. And Gina was like, oh, you don't want to obey, you don't really know this man. And Pam was like, well, you the only one I want to be happy. You don't want to be happy for me? And Gina was like, no, I just want you to make a good decision. Like, and Pam got mad at her for that, but then later on she found out that the dude was just getting married just to get married. He knew he was going to divorce you. He wasn't getting married for life. He was marrying just to have a wife for a couple of years and then divorce you and then leave you somebody. Like he was doing that. That was like his thing. And then when she realized it wasn't going to be forever, like he wasn't thinking it was going to be forever, then she was like, okay, she let him go. And Martin was mad because he didn't get to be in a skybox no more. He was so mad at Pam and depressed. And then that made Pam happy because you know how Martin don't get along. But yeah, I ain't even gonna talk too much on it because it's already too much long me talk about them. But I really liked it. Pam and Gina was a good duo. Like, and they both can sing too. That's the funny thing. Then they even friends to this day, and they was friends before that. The fact that I had this long friendship in actual life for real, that's why their chemistry was so good. It's just so because usually when you hear about these shows, the people don't really be friends after. Like you don't never really see that they have had a long friendship for the most part. Maybe at the time they didn't or file out, but theirs felt like the longest standing that I could think of a friend group. And I'm saying nobody who had been close, but I'm saying theirs felt like the most strongest, purest, like also they had something before. Yeah, they were just funny. Then obviously they was always going to Sinead together. Then when they joined they women's group, together. Like they was always trying to move up together. Then that time Biggie came on and they both was on stage singing. He was like, she called me phony Braxton. She called me Anita Faker. And Mark was like, well, if y'all get another girl, y'all be phony. They was competing with each other. Did the time, you know, they sung on stage from Tampa Show, hold up the light. And Shanae and Kilolo came on stage talking about, ain't nobody trying to hear no hold up the light.